has that system operating so well that they'll still be a strong team. And another team, North Carolina, they're ranked number 5, and they're not even healthy yet. Brandon Robinson, their senior that they're relying on, senior power forward, sprained his ankle pretty badly in an exhibition game. So they still are a little bit thin on healthy bodies, and they're going to get better too.
Any other teams that you want to mention while you have a moment?
Well, one more, Kansas. Silvio De Silva was at the root of a lot of Kansas's NCAA problems, and he hadn't played much in the first couple games, but now he's working his way into the lineup. And if he and Devin Dodson, their point guard, get a good chemistry going, that's going to make Kansas a better team.
Very good, Tom. Well, we appreciate you being on the program, and we'll look forward to some college football on Thursday, Tom.
Sounds good. I'll try to remember this time.
Oh, that's okay. We'll give you a nice, friendly reminder. We appreciate you being on the program. Thank you, Tommy.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Take care, Tom.
So, what are your thoughts about the Cassius Winston situation?
Suicide is really never something you want to hear about, and we were talking about this earlier when we were talking about Don Cherry. Sports are something that we go to after we work our 9-to-5 jobs for most of us, and we go home. What do we want to do? We want to sit down in front of the TV, obviously meet the wife and kids, for dinner, and we want to sit down to end our night with some sports on TV, right? Sport to serve as an escape to everything, all of that goes on in the world, in our daily lives. But when if you're a sports fan, especially of like Michigan basketball, and you hear about something like that,
right?
It's horrible. It's like almost deflating because it's like you feel bad for the families. I think the worst thing for me, as somebody who tries to, empathize with those, can you just imagine being a mother and then finding out that your son, who had aspirations of playing basketball,
Right.
beyond the collegiate ranks, he took his own life for reasons beyond basketball, and just it's tough. It's like something that you never want to discuss. Suicide doesn't escape you despite your presence in the athletic world and who you are in a public specter. Depression is a real thing, and my heart goes out to to the family who had to suffer that. I'm sure his brother is going to be playing with a heavy heart for the rest of the season, and I'm sure he's going to dedicate every game for the rest of his career, for how long that may be, to his late brother. It's rough. I mean, you don't want to talk too much about it because it just makes you sad for just thinking and discussing it.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I don't think there are too many people out there that haven't contemplated it at some point.
Yeah,
it's a reality that whether we like to live in or not.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, it's a part of what society is all about.
But with that, you can you just get back to this idea that you use sports as a form of escapism to get away and to, temporarily not think about those issues that are bothering you. And I think that's the healing power of sports, or maybe anything that anybody does. And it's just sad to know that, Winston's brother couldn't, find himself to come to terms with that. And, it is what it is.
Well, dedicate the season.
Very depressing.
Yeah, when you have a death, sometimes you dedicate a season to something. That makes you feel good instantaneously, but the long-term ramifications of how you mourn somebody's loss linger on for a long time. That's just the way.
It's the worst way to motivate a team. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, luckily he has a coach like Tom Izzo, who's a father figure there. And I know there's a lot of great coaches that are role models. There just are a lot of great coaches that are role models.
And like you said, and I agree, Tom Izzo is, he's the guy you want to go to in that situation. He's going to have to play the role of father figure for Cassius Winston for the rest of the year, but I don't think that's going to stop Winston's, drive to succeed on the basketball court. I don't think so at all. I think if anything, it's going to, I wouldn't say invigorate, because invigorate is used in a positive tense, and this is definitely not something positive that we're discussing right now.
Right.
But it's gonna be fuel to his fire, and it's something that's gonna motivate him. He's gonna play for something larger than himself and than a respective sport.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to that idea of family and how important it is, and you never know how much you love somebody until they're not there anymore.
That's true. Yeah, as much as I hate to talk about suicide, we'll transition once Bill Winters calls on the program and talk about reputational suicide.
Yeah.
Because the one that we're about to talk to, and Bill Winters has some strong opinions on this one, is Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I mean, we won't spoil too much of it.
You don't have to. The bottom line is he took a U-turn, and I know there's more to this story than meets the eye, but he's not going to play football again.
No, and yeah, I mean, it's like you applaud the guy for trying. There's no reason to insult somebody for going out there and look, the footage that we've seen of him, he's looked okay. I just think this is such a big problem now, especially in the social context in which we're living in, that it's just gonna, like you say, he's kind of been blacklisted. It's just gonna prevent him from stepping foot on an NFL field again. He's not gonna take a snap on the gridiron in a competitive NFL game, I think, ever again, unfortunately. And I don't know if that's a reflection of the country, the general notions of the country, or just that we're just tired of hearing about this fiasco with Kaepernick. And I don't know. I think you and you're skating on thin ice if you answer that question, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Right.
So it's
the reality of the situation is, and again, Bill will shed some more insights to it, is what he will do. But when it's all said and done, okay, that this guy here made what I considered an attempt to try to think that he was going to do it his way, but in retrospect, he just forgot who's paying the almighty dollar.
You know what's funny, and I'll be brief with this one. Arian Foster, you remember Arian Foster?
Yeah.
Great running back, long time for the Houston Texans.
Right.
When Arian Foster came out after his playing career and announced that he was an atheist, this drew no backlash whatsoever from the league. In a sport where a lot of its values lie within, conservative Christianity. And I'm not bashing religion by any means here, but I'm just saying I'm kind of surprised that, for something that's so universal for a lot of the tenants who follow football, Arian Foster to denounce a deity that has been so universal for thousands of years, and then for Kaepernick to come out on a social issue. And that just shows you, where a lot of the public lies in regards to these things. I'm just kind of surprised that didn't garner a lot more controversy than it did. I'm glad it didn't, because I don't think it has any place in sports. Athletes shouldn't really use sports to promote religion or anything, but
well, they do.
They do, and they thank the man upstairs after every game that they play.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. That part I don't have a problem.
But I'm just kind of surprised that there wasn't a lot of backlash with that. But with Kaepernick, look, he, in his eyes, in the eyes of a lot of people who aren't pro for this, what he did was very anti-American, and I'm sure Bill shares that sentiment as you do. And you know what? He's in a sense he's defacing a flag, but.
You ever been to a NASCAR race or auto racing where you pray that these guys are good? There's nothing wrong with
it. Oh, yeah, I know. No, yeah.
No, I have zero problem with it at all. So.
Yeah, it was just shocking to see Arian Foster come out and say what he said. But look, this is different. I think this is a reflection of American ideals, and a lot of people feel like Kaepernick defaced those. Whether or not you agree or not, I'm sure Bill's going to have his opinion on that too, and here he is.
Yep. Hey, Bill, welcome to the Sports Exchange. Bill, glad to have you back, buddy. Ready to?
Good evening, Scott.
Ready? We have 3 days to work with. We'll lead it off here about Lewis and I were talking about Colin Kaepernick. So, obviously, the man had an abrupt change of plans, didn't he?
Well, this was a window for him. But when both sides don't trust each other, there was no way that this thing was going to get done. And, looking at it from Colin's point of view, they wanted him to sign some kind of waiver that probably would have given up a lot of his rights to sue later on should something come up. And he didn't feel comfortable signing that. And the National Football League doesn't trust him to not do another, political statement or make some waves and affect their business. So basically, I think that is over with. I've listened to both sides report on the issue. I will say this to you. The Baltimore Ravens gave him a shot a couple years ago.
Right.
He turned them down. And the Ravens are an organization impressive. They took RG3 in after he was with the Browns because Archie showed that the game meant something to him.
Right.
If Colin was really serious about really wanting to play football and missed it that much, he probably would have done whatever he needed to do to get out there without putting all of these conditions, like having his own receivers, his own film crew, and all of that in this, and not change the venue. So he comes across as him trying to make a political statement and someone who can't conform to an employer's edict that this is the way we do things.
Right.
I don't think he's understood that this is a business, and there's certain things that are going to be allowed by an employer in the workplace, and there's certain things that aren't.
Right.
He made a conscious effort to overstep that line. He knew what he was doing when he did it, and he suffered the consequences. And, and for an organization like the Ravens to come back and say, we understand, we'll let you to come in here and then not want to take a pay cut and not want to come in and play, well, there's a lot of owners that just sit back and there's nothing we can do with this guy.
Right.
And then to turn around and do this, and give the opportunity, I think there might have been one or two takers that he just practiced and gone out and done exactly what they asked him to do. But again, it seems like he wants to do things on his terms, and this is the way it is, and employers in any workplace are not going to allow that to happen. Doesn't matter where it's the National Football League, because there's too much fallout, and neither side trust each other. And I agree with what Colin's standing for, but I don't agree with the platform that he did it with. And that's what sealed his fate. And no one's taken a look at him for 3 years, and then he comes in and does this. I just think that a lot of guys came down on him really hard. But I understand the situation. But I think when you're making yourself out to be, someone who stands up for social justice, and then you turn around and do something like that, it's kind of tough for you to get your career back. So I think that's the end of Colin Kaepernick as far as his ability to play in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I'll say about that is if you're an employee looking for employer, okay, nobody plays by your rules. Remember who's management, who's labor. And I guess Colin Kaepernick obviously must, to me, regardless of what his intentions were, there were 25 teams that were going to be at that workout, and to go 60 miles away, to me, was a shocker in its own right.
Well, there are a lot of reporters out there who think he has his own agenda. He just wants to be a martyr, and the football really meant a lot to him. He just would have gone out there without an injury waiver or anything like that. Me, I try to put myself in a position as a player. Look, you spent 3 years telling everybody that you want to come back and play, you're in shape and all that. I would have done anything that I wanted to do to get out there. And if you want me to stand on my head and do cartwheels, the game means that much to me. And I think some of the owners were willing to take a look at him. But when you do something like that, it's going to be really tough for an organization to bring him in, regardless of whether there is supporting his position or not. This is just too much backdraft.
Yeah, and nowadays teams are very conscientious about making sure that they don't have a PR mess, is what they are. And let's face reality, nowadays if you're looking to put bodies in the stands, you're trying to sell jerseys. How do you sell a Colin Kaepernick jersey?
I'll tell you one better. NBA ratings are really, really low.
Okay, that's
really low.
Okay.
And that was called to my attention today by a guy who's a major source of information for me. So you'll watch the Houston Rockets, but everybody will watch them regionally, but nobody's watching them nationally.
Right.
And this is, and I think that you have to be very careful when you start messing with social media and you start giving the perception that people are really, really rich, and then all of a sudden they want to get away from doing what made the game great. Daryl Morey is, I'm reading some things about what's going on with him. Okay, and I